In today's episode, I will talk about the art of channeling. What is channeling? Different types of channeling. Why would you choose to develop your channeling skills? And finally, I'll offer some exercises that you can do to start channeling today. Hello, beautiful soul. Welcome to my YouTube channel or my podcast. I'm your host and guide, Will Caminada, and I'm here to help you awaken, heal, and expand your consciousness. This channel and this podcast is all about offering you guidance and practical tools to support you on your journey of spiritual self-mastery. So if this is something you're interested in and my content resonates with you, please make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel or to my podcast on whatever platform you use. And also make sure you follow me on Instagram at GuiWill, where I post exclusive daily content that you won't find here. So if you're here, if you've clicked on this thumbnail, you probably have an interest in channeling. You might have tried channeling yourself before, and or you may follow channelers online, so you probably have a pretty good idea of what it is. But I want to share my personal experience, my personal perspective on what channeling is, and perhaps debunk some myths around it as well. So just a little disclaimer that I'm not necessarily following any school or any book or any fixed definitions. I'm sharing from my experience and my intuition. What is channeling? Most people, when they think of channeling, they think of someone who closes their eyes and starts speaking from an entity that could be angels, ascended masters, deceased loved ones, and higher dimensional beings. So they're literally just allowing themselves to be a channel to receive and deliver a message that not only may contain spiritual or cosmic angelic information, but also it may carry energetic frequencies. And yes, this is correct, but I believe that channeling is more than that. I actually believe that we all already channel to different extents, as this is the original state of the 12-strand DNA human being. Originally, we all had the channel open, if you will. But Will, what do you mean by we all channel to different extents? Well, when you have an idea, an insight, a solution to a problem, where is that coming from? For a split of a second, this channel was open and the piece of information, aka light, found its way into your conscious mind. So essentially, channeling is when you're able to get your ego to step aside and open this space to receive information, and sometimes, if you wish or if you train for, deliver it. When you approach channeling this way, you realize that the difference between you and the channelers that you see is that they can channel at their will. They can access higher frequencies and sometimes be aware of what beings or what dimensions they're connecting with. Artists, musicians, and writers, for example, are natural channelers without necessarily calling them that. Oftentimes, they will create something while they're in the zone without being completely aware of what's coming through them. Most of the songs that I've written have happened like that, and I consider the process of writing to be a channeling experience. As I develop my senses, I'm able to tune in with more ease and, like I said, at my will. Another example of everyday channeling is this. Have you ever said something to a friend, like a piece of advice, for example, and then after you said it, you just went, where did that come from? So this is a moment of channeling. What you want, though, is to be able to notice these moments, notice these little messages. You want to feel the energies and the frequencies. And we all can do that by practicing, and I'll get into that in a moment. The different types of channeling. By now, I hope that your vision on channeling has expanded a little bit. Now, let's get to the types of channeling. There are different types, and like I said in the beginning of this video, I'm not following anyone's school or book, so I'll talk about 6 types, and if you think of any other type, please feel free to share it with us in the comments. Conscious channeling. This is when the channeler is aware of the interaction between him or her and whatever being is coming through. They are able to quickly receive the message and speak it. Or for some, the words just come out before they even process them. Most of the time, they are conscious of what they're speaking, conscious of their body, and somewhat conscious of the space they're in. That's why you would usually see them being able to remain seated on a chair and disconnect at their will. They may or may not change voices, accents, or facial expressions. Some examples of conscious channelers are Esther Hicks, Lee Harris, and Barbara Marciniak. Trance or unconscious channeling. This is similar to the previous one, but the difference is that the channeler enters a very deep trance state. The conscious channeler also enters in a trance state, but there are different levels of trance, if you will. A trance state is an altered form of consciousness in which the channeler is neither fully awake nor fully asleep. So most times the trance channelers are not conscious of what they're saying or of the external environment or even not in control of their bodies. So they need someone to guide them, record the sessions or ask questions, and even help them slowly gain back their awareness. I would say be careful with experimenting to go into deep trance. Always best to look for a professional guide or a school to develop your psychic abilities. Mostly because if you enter a very deep trance state by accident or by experimenting with it on your own, you never know what can happen in the astral world as well as in the physical. Examples of trance channelers are Edgar Cayce and the channelers who helped birth the Law of One Material, Carla, Don Elkins, and Jen McCarty. Although, according to their website, the majority of their channeling archive was actually received via conscious channeling. So these methods intersect. Meditative channeling. I would say this is the most common one, possibly the one that you should start with. That's how I got started, and still it's the most familiar to me. I usually hear messages and communicate telepathically, but may not speak it out loud. I'm slowly starting to do this, but usually what feels comfortable for me is to listen, and if I feel like sharing the message publicly, I will write it down straight away and then record it or post the written version. Writing is also a form of channeling, and I'll get into that in a minute. Meditative channeling means you're channeling information, ideas, insights, or the so-called downloads during your meditation. You may hear telepathically or see visions with your inner eye, or feel emotions or energy, feel them in your body too. You may experience all of the above or just one or two, depending on which clair, aka psychic ability, is more predominant in you. I have a whole episode on the 7 clairs and a guided visualization that you can do to discover your clairs. I'll put the cards up here and the links in the description. Light language, sound, energy channeling. People can also channel light, which is energy. We know that all is energy, but the purest state of energy is light. And sound is also light, and it carries frequencies. So that's why I put light language, sound, and energy in the same title. Also because when you hear someone channeling light language, you don't understand rationally what it is because it's not the human language that you speak. So it's all about feeling the energy of those words and especially the sounds that they make. When you see someone channeling light language or sound, you notice that they change their pitch, rhythm, intensity, mood. So again, it's all about receiving the energy without rationalizing it. I could say vocalists also channel when they're creating melodies, improvising, or even performing songs that they certainly have rehearsed for, but they're able to get in the zone when they deliver the performance. An example of someone who channels light language is Wendy Kennedy, and she also channels the Pleiadians. If you know anyone else, feel free to share their names in the comments. Art channeling. This is fun. It can be a painting that comes out of you without much interference of your ego mind, handmade craft and sculptures. I believe artists are natural channelers, but I also believe that we all have an artist inside of us. Cooking can be your art, and so you may be channeling while you're cooking. So what is your art? Can you think of moments that you were in the zone, meaning completely present, that you just lost track of time and space? Automatic writing. I recommend this one for anyone who loves journaling and writing or reading. A few years ago, when I was writing songs on a weekly basis for my songwriting degree, part of my spiritual practice was to do free writing, mostly after meditation and sometimes during meditation as well. Automatic writing is when you make yourself available to be a channel and quote unquote transcribe the messages on paper in a language that you may or may not speak. I personally believe that there are different levels to automatic writing too, just like conscious and unconscious. When a writer is writing a chapter in their book, for example, and they feel like they're in the zone again, they are channeling, but they are usually aware of the words that they're writing. It can be, though, that the channeler is unconscious, so in a deep trance state, like I mentioned before, and so they're also not in control of their hands or their body. It's as if they step out completely and allow their bodies and consciousness to be the channel. In Brazil, there is a famous channeler who used to receive messages from loved ones in writing. His name is Chico Xavier. Why would you choose to develop your channeling skills? Ultimately, you don't necessarily want to be channeling from other beings, quote unquote other beings, because we are all one, for guidance or information, because you have that in you. Your spirit guides want you to trust your inner guidance. And by inner guidance, I mean your higher self, along with all the ramifications of it, if you will, such as your parallel selves in past and future lives, your higher dimensional counterparts, and ultimately the infinite wisdom of the source, or the one consciousness that we all share. So when you approach channeling this way, it almost doesn't matter if you know who you're channeling or what for, as long as you are connected with this higher force that transcends your egoic mind. But to be more specific, you could choose to develop your channeling skills for a few reasons. To have an enhanced intuition, which will ultimately help you make decisions with more clarity, with more trust, and some level of certainty. To have access to information that you may not find in books, such as cosmic information and your soul's journey in the Akashic records. To be able to communicate with multidimensional beings. To be able to help others in their path by delivering messages from the spiritual realm. To be able to co-create and co-manifest with the universe. To be able to create art, write songs, paint, write books, run a business more intuitively. Practices that you can do to start developing your channeling skills. So the number one practice is meditation. And the practice has to be daily and consistent. The other key factor is knowing your clairs. For example, if I am more clairaudient, I will focus on listening and telepathy. If I'm more clairvoyant, I'll focus on visions and what they mean to me. So again, you can find links to discover your clair meditation in the description. So I'll give you some tips of things that you can do within your meditation practice to develop your channeling skills. Use theta binaural beats. When you listen to theta frequencies and binaural beats, you're inducing your brain waves to be in a theta level of consciousness, which means you'll be navigating your subconscious mind. Therefore, you'll be more connected with the spiritual realm. You can find them on YouTube, Spotify, but you can also create the sounds live with tuning forks. Breathwork. Breathwork can help you achieve deeper states of consciousness. You can do your breathwork before your meditation or while you're listening to your meditative music and or frequencies. How deep you can go will depend on how often you practice breath work and how willing you are to surrender to this practice. The type of breath work that I facilitate helps you to tap into deeper parts of your consciousness, but usually you stay for about 25 to 30 minutes breathing, and the second half of the session you stay in a meditative state, which allows for channeling and telepathy and etc. I would suggest that if you're not experienced with breath work, first find easy techniques and do it for short periods of time. And if you want to explore how far you can go, I recommend that you find a guided session in a group or one-on-one. You can find a link in the description to my full library of breathwork and meditation classes that you can rent. And also I'll leave a link to booking one-on-one sessions with me. Invoke your spirit guides. Set the intention to let them communicate with you through you. You don't need to do a big ritual or ceremony. Just set the intention and very, very, very important, vibrate in love. Make sure you're allowing only benevolent beings to step forward. Start with your guardian angels, loved ones, your spirit guides team, and know that they are ready to assist you, but they are also guiding you into your own inner guidance. And this leads me to the next point. Channel from your higher self. You can access all the wisdom that your higher self and all of the parallel versions of your soul have. Ultimately, that's what your guides want for you. You have a unique blueprint and a unique journey here on earth. Finding the answers within means you're channeling wisdom from your soul of lessons that you came here to learn, patterns that you came here to break, dreams that you came here to achieve. So remember that. You can always channel from your higher self. Write messages for yourself. I've done this many times and I still do, and it's probably my go-to tip, but it may not be for everyone because it involves writing. I personally use pencil and paper, but you can also type on a device if it feels comfortable for you. Just start with a question that you can address to your soul, your higher self, or to your angels, or specifically to one angel that you feel a connection with, or a star family being that you feel connected to. So you start writing, "Dear soul, what do you want me to know today?" And just start writing whatever comes to your mind, even if it's nonsense. And you can set a timer if you like. In the beginning, it may feel a little silly, or it may feel like you're not channeling at all. But when you do that free writing, you're on the way to accessing your subconscious mind. And you may start writing things that don't make much sense to you at first, but when you read it afterwards, it does. So the key here is to not let your ego stop you. So don't worry about punctuation, spelling, or again, making sense. If you're more of a clairvoyant, like you get inner visions when you close your eyes, then that was my case a few years ago. What you can do, you can leave a notebook and a pen in front of you when you sit to meditate, and then close your eyes and try to visualize words or even letters forming words, and then you write them out. You can either try to write them with your eyes closed or open your eyes and write them out. And it can be that it's just a simple word that comes to you. Like I used to get words like trust, believe, and hey, that's a start, and it does carry a lot of meaning because it can be something that you need to focus on today. You may even write names of people that you may need to reach out for some reason, names of places that you may want to go, that you may need to go, lyrics, poems, you name it. It's very fun. Sounding, toning, and chanting. This is for those who love singing and using their voices. It's also great practice for those who are focusing on healing their throat chakras. In meditation, you can play music and tones and frequencies and instruments, and then just free sounding. Just do a free sounding. Stay in the moment, let the energies move through you, and then sound it out. The key with this one here is to not be self-conscious, because at first it may not sound pretty, or it may not make any sense whatsoever. But remember, it's about letting the energy move through you and out of you. It's not a competition, you're not on The Voice. Free painting. Similar to free writing and free sounding, here you can just set up a little canvas and some paints, take a little time to connect and start painting what comes through you. As with all of these practices that I'm sharing, you can mix them all. So before you paint, you can listen to some theta binaural beats, invoke your spirit guides, do a little bit of writing, and so on. Record your voice. So I would suggest this to those who feel like they already channel while they meditate, but they want to start speaking it out. Maybe because they want to deliver the messages to a group or even online. And this is what I'm personally focusing on at the moment. So just before you get into meditation, you can leave your phone next to you, press the record button, and start speaking. And just like with free writing again, at first it may sound silly or unnatural, but as you get in the zone, you will start speaking more freely. Don't worry about making sense again. You can listen to the recording back when you're more conscious. Of course, the ego in you will cringe, but hey, this is a practice. And the more you do this, the more natural it will be for you and the more confident you will be to share it. Obviously, if you want to go deeper into channeling other than practicing, you can also find schools, training, and teachers. If you're someone who likes one-on-one guidance or who likes to follow a curriculum, I'm sure you can find it online or where you live. Just always make sure that you use your discernment and your intuition. Always do your research and see if you can talk to someone who has trained with them before and they can give you a genuine review. So let me know in the comments which type of channeling you feel called to practice and which of these exercises you will put into practice. Again, you can check the link in the description to learn how you can access my full library of breathwork and meditation class, and also how you can work one-on-one with me. Also, if you think one of your friends are into channeling and they may enjoy or benefit from this content in this episode, please share it with them. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at @GuyWill. I'm also on the app Insight Timer. You can find me under my name, Will Caminada. As always, keep shining your light, keep your heart open, and let love lead the way. I love you. See you in the next episode.